sealed trash can. As I zoom in here, you see a pop-up tent there on the north side of the street and the trash can that's underneath it. It's a medium-sized trash can, and it does look like it's possibly sealed. Let me come in a little tighter so you can get a better look at that. Now the homicide detectives are on scene along with crime scene investigators that are taking pictures, measuring the trash can, and it appears that they might be opening it up soon here. But again, this is all happening here in the 8500 block of Wentworth here in Sunland, as someone discovered a body inside of that trash can. That's the latest overhead up in Sky 5. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Gil, thank you so much for that. Now at 4, a heinous sexual assault in Pasadena. A woman sitting in her car is held at knife point, kidnapped, and repeatedly attacked. The incident happened on Saturday night in a busy part of the city.
Now authorities are searching for the dangerous suspect. KTLA's Jennifer McGraw is live in Pasadena with the latest. Hi, Jennifer.
Sam and John, Pasadena is a beautiful area, and this is a busy part of town.
Tonight, new details about the LAFD recruit firefighter who was struck and killed in a hit and run on the 101 freeway yesterday morning. We now know what type of vehicle the CHP is looking for. The recruit has been identified as 22-year-old Jacob Fuerte. He joined the department in February. Fuerte was on his way to the Drill Tower Academy for training when he was involved in a two-car crash on the freeway. Police say he got out of his Jeep to assist after the crash, and that's when Fuerte was struck and killed by the hit-and-run driver who took off. The CHP tells KTLA they are looking for a dark SUV or van, and they need witnesses. If you have any information about this crash, you are urged to contact the CHP.
Police swarm a Newport Beach gated community after a shooting during a home invasion early this morning. One of the residents turned the tables on the suspects.
Let's get right out to KTLA's Rachel Minitoff with more on this developing story. Scary stuff, Rachel.
John, Sam, that's exactly right. And this is a pretty secure community. As you mentioned, it's gated and there's a guard on duty 24/7.
Community leaders are calling on city officials to form a joint murder prevention task force after what they say is a surge in murders in South LA. Yesterday, a teenage boy was shot and killed after multiple fights on Western Avenue near 108th Street. A person of interest has been detained in the case. There was also a deadly shooting last month in the Vermont Vista neighborhood of South LA. 4 suspects were arrested in that case.
We've seen a murder surge again in South LA. We've seen the numbers up, and now we've seen this. A young person gunned down. So that calls for immediate action. So we made the call on city officials and the mayor. Create this joint task force.
Hutchinson says the task force would focus on educating as well as engaging and involving young people to spread the message that violence is not the way to solve problems. Day 2 is complete, and now 7 jurors have been chosen for the historic criminal trial of former President Donald Trump in New York. The critically important juror selection phase of the so-called hush money trial has ended for the day. Trump is accused of falsifying business records to cover up a sex scandal involving adult film star Stormy Daniels. The jurors selected today came from an original pool of 96. They were quizzed on a variety of topics, including their social media activity and their personal view of Mr. Trump.
Are we still talking about that AI movie?
Yeah.
Or
Science.
Consumer Confidential with David Lazarus on your Tuesday.
The man, the myth, the legend is here in studio with us. We're talking about a software company that is facing allegations over steep rental prices. Is that right?
Yeah, and the question here is the rental market rigged, and what, if anything, can tenants or would-be tenants do about it? There will be lawsuits, undoubtedly, because state and federal authorities are really looking askance at this, especially at a time when rents are going up really high. But at the same time, it's technology, it's progress, and at some point we just kind of throw in the towel and say, oh, well, I guess that's how it is.
Prices are so high already, though, even just the perception or the suggestion that it could be rigged or fixed, I mean, yeah, blow people through. Yeah,
and you ask any renter, and they're going to say, I don't understand why my rent keeps going up like this.
Right.
It makes no sense.
Even with these big apartment complexes, the rent on Tuesday will be different than if you look at the apartment on Wednesday or Friday, because it's all based on this algorithm.
Worse, you've got an algorithm that's looking at all the surrounding properties and not just the nearby neighborhood properties, but perhaps every property in the state or other states and coming up with its numbers. And that really stacks the chips against you.
Right.
Yeah. Who does this affect most?
It affects renters. It affects people, working families that are just trying to get by, that are living perhaps paycheck to paycheck and just finding it difficult to stand up to a robot.
Right. All right. Hollywood, all in on franchises. What is going on here? Are these the movies that people want to see, Les?
You know, there's nothing new about Hollywood being in love with franchises. Make no mistake about it. But we know from last year, the success of Barbie and Oppenheimer, that audiences really want original films. You're looking at The Fall Guy right there. These are based on Broadway and TV properties. And then the last one, Kraven the Hunter, well, that's a Spider-Man spinoff. But as long as Hollywood is generating these movies, well, there's just less reason. So that's great for the streamers, but this is death for movie theaters, and we know full well why Hollywood likes these sorts of things, the sequels and the spin-offs, because they're easier to sell. They're easier to market when people already know what they are, and Hollywood just does not want to take risks, and I would argue, no, this is precisely the time to start taking risks, at least if you want to keep movie theaters alive.
Yeah, but Ryan Gosling, always original.
Well, yeah, I know. We're all going to see Ryan Gosling.
Right.
Civil War's out there, and I want to go see that, but then I'm thinking it sounds just like Red Dawn, and I've seen Red Dawn.
Right.
So it's difficult. And with streaming and home entertainment becoming so sophisticated now, there's less and less reason to go to movie theaters. Hollywood, if you're watching, and I know you are, give us a reason to go to movie theaters, because we do want to go. We know that from Barbenheimer.
Sasquatch Sunset's not doing it for you?
Not quite, but you could drag me to that if you tried.
I'm like, you know, kind of rolling my eyes at the franchise thing, but then we see a little bit of the Beetlejuice. And I'm like, well, actually, I kind of do want to see that.
Sure, but it's a sequel, and I saw the original, and I have to think that this is just the same, but on steroids, as all sequels are.
Who knew people wanted original content?
Go
Shocker.
Shocker.
Yeah, right. I know, and it makes you marvel that how did Christopher Nolan ever get the Inception and Interstellar made? I mean, how did he do it? I mean, you imagine the pitch meeting for Inception. The Hollywood studios going, what? And what?
That's a man who has to have a long list of just trust me.
Yeah, exactly. And then he says, oh, and here's Leonardo DiCaprio. And
by the way, Leo.
Right, the deal's done.
And you just made me realize that the last movie I saw that I've seen at home or in a theater was Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, yeah.
That's how long.
Terrific movie.
That's how long it's been since I've been to the movies.
Yeah. But would I have paid to go see Maverick? Probably not. I mean,
I saw it
Top Gun on
three
steroids.
times in the theater, David. It was amazing.
It's a wonderful movie. I take nothing away from it. I love Top Gun Maverick. It's the same movie.
No, it wasn't. No.
I agree with both of you. It was, but it was worth seeing in the theater. I think that it's you know, it's still a franchise.
Yeah, and I went to the Dune sequel because I'm a nerd, so what are you going to do?
All right, well, no one's going to want to be sitting in a movie theater this week. Weather is going to be so nice.
More of your top stories are coming up next.
Including KTLA's Kimberly Chang.
Now at 4:30, commencement controversy. USC cancels its class of 2024 valedictorian speech over safety concerns and allegations of anti-Semitism. Now, this all follows complaints by alumni and other groups over the valedictorians' social media posts.
KTLA's Kimberly Chang has reaction from students at USC.
It's tradition for the valedictorian to give a commencement speech.
LA County Board of Supervisors have unanimously approved an ordinance to overhaul apartment inspections and code enforcement in unincorporated areas. The Rental Housing Hability Act ordinance brings code enforcement under a single program with inspections every 4 years for repeat offenders. Supporters rallied ahead of today's vote in downtown LA. They say renters have been forced to live in subpar conditions, and they hope the new system will hold slum landlords accountable.
We're seeing children waking up with roaches in their hair. We're seeing young daughters with cancer not being able to take hot showers, right? We're seeing children not being able to have normal breakfasts because they don't have electricity, right? People faced with pest infestations, mold, lead, fire hazards, and that's unacceptable in one of the richest counties in the world.
All right, the ordinance would also establish a rent escrow account program for landlords who refuse to fix violations. House Speaker Mike Johnson is facing growing threats from fellow Republicans who want to oust him from his position. Speaker Johnson has now been asked by at least 2 members of Congress to resign, including Kentucky Representative Thomas Massey, who joined Georgia's Marjorie Taylor Greene this morning. The speaker said he will not step down and will continue pressing forward with a military aid package for U.S. allies, including Israel and Ukraine. But he will need Democrats' votes to pass it because the bill does not include border security measures demanded by some Republicans. Hard to come into the office.
Yeah, it was nice today. It's still nice. And this is downtown Los Angeles camera pointing toward Dodger Stadium. There's a game tonight, 7-10 against the Nationals. Back to you.
Thank you, Casey. The Anaheim City Council will be voting later today on Disneyland's expansion plan. Now, the multi-billion-dollar plan is called Disneyland Forward, and it would bring more rides, hotels, and entertainment to the city. KTLA's Aaron Myers has more on the vote.
Swifties are swarming the Grove as we speak. Taylor Swift and Spotify are celebrating the upcoming release of her next album with the new pop-up poetry library. I'm already seeing Twitter and social media. Everyone has the details about the Easter eggs inside.
And her fans are so great.
Yes. They can
really
solve
are.
a crime if need be. All right, coming up, too good to be true for gamers.
Apple removes one of the first popular Game Boy emulators. We'll have those details ahead in TechSmart. All right, Samsung overtakes Apple in smartphone sales, plus an iPhone game emulator app is no longer available.
KTLA's Rich Shamiro has more details in today's TechSmart.
Here's what's happening in the tech world.
All right, the Olympic flame and torch have been lit in a traditional ceremony in Greece. A high priestess asked the Greek sun god Apollo for help in lighting the flame, which represents peace and friendship among nations. Sun rays reflected off a parabolic mirror that are traditionally used to ignite the flame, but cloudy conditions forced a plan B, where they used a flame that was pre-lit by the sun. The torch now will be carried some 3,000 miles by various runners to Paris for the Summer Games. I like that these Greek gods are on top of it. You know what I mean?
Well, they're kind of not, though, because they had to use another flame because
it was cloudy.
Apollo said no, essentially. But, John, Casey and I have seen this a couple times today.
Yeah.
Sure, hard
What's
to
your
unsee.
first reaction to the torch lighting?
It is really something, you know what I mean?
It is.
And look at those outfits. Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Grecian columns.
What a job.
Beautiful.
Oh.
Can't wait to see what LA comes up with once we get the torch in 28.
And then people will be making fun of us.
I know. Somebody's taking a selfie.
We're here for it. Absolutely.
We are here for it. All right. And look at his camera. It's pointed toward Dodger Stadium, where there's a game in a couple of hours.
Scottie Scheffler won the coveted Masters tournament over the weekend, but he's not the only one cashing in.
Yeah, it turns out it pays to be a caddy.
Big time.
Traditionally, the caddy of the Masters winner gets 10% of the prize money. Now, the runner-up's caddy gets 7%. So because Scheffler took home $3.6 million, his caddy, Ted Scott, will receive $360,000 for 4 days of work. Now, that's on top of his weekly wage. Aside from carrying the golf bag, caddies also give input on which club to use as well as swing technique. This is Scott's third six-figure payday so far this year. He celebrated by posting a video on Instagram showing him in bed cuddling with one of the Masters pens. And with money like that, you don't have to get out of bed.
Nah.
Oh, man, that does it for... Right, exactly.
Wow.
That does it for the KTLA 5 News at 4, but we've got a lot more coming up on the news at 5.
Let's check in with Cher Calvin with a closer look at the 5 p.m. Hi, Cher.
Wait, first of all, I needed a closer look at that video. I was like, what is going on there for a second? Glad you explained it. All right, we'll have that and all of your breaking news all ahead on the KTLA 5 News at 5. John, Sam, back to you.
Oh, thank you, Cher, and thank you all for joining us. We will see you tomorrow, everybody.
John, let's do it again tomorrow.
Absolutely.
All right.
Got it.
Cool. Bye.